there's diverse religions, they're complicated, they've got all kinds of messy justifications for them. What happens though is, often there's a nice kernel at the heart of them. And you know that what this is an idea somebody once came up with to help his tribe or his city or his group get together, to unite them. In some cases, it was in order for them to unite and give him lots of money. That happened a lot. But usually, there are philosophies and moral principles in religion. I would agree entirely with that. So when I say that Christianity is false for instance, that doesn't mean that love your neighbor as you love yourself is wrong and you need to throw it out. What it means is that there are all these accreted layers of superstitious crap that gets piled up around it. Strip those away. Get rid of those. If you are living a life as a good person because you're afraid of hell, or because you think Jesus has made you this big promise that'll let you live forever if you do X, Y, and Z, you're being good for the wrong reason. That's what we need to get away with, is we need to get people actually thinking about why you were doing this. And I think the only valid reasons are because we are a community of human beings who have to get along together and work together. And that's why we do these things. That's why we're good to each other. Any other excuse is patently false and can be dismissed.
Well, do you think there's any psychological thing in to be,
okay, I kind of know where this is going. There's a really common argument that, okay, we wouldn't be believing this foolishness unless there was something in our brain, something psychological in us that said we had to believe this. But it's not true. That here we are, there's a bunch of well-adjusted, happy atheists here who completely eliminated that stuff from their lives. It is not an essential necessity. I'll also point out that if you talk to a Jesuit, they've got this saying where, give me the child at the age of 7 for 7 years and I'll give you the man. Have you ever seen Jesus Camp? Right? You would think if religion was really such a natural outgrowth of our psychology, you wouldn't need to send kids off to Jesus Camp in order to indoctrinate them in the faith. You could just leave them alone and they'd be praising cardboard cutouts of George Bush. Religion is something that has to be inculcated. And if you strip away the indoctrination, people don't need it. So we find over and over again.
So atheism is a movement now, right?
It has become a movement, yes.
It's not based upon an idea, it's based upon science.
Science is an idea. It's a pretty powerful idea.
Well, yeah, but we got too far, right?
Yeah.
So do you see atheism evolving over time?
Of course it will. All ideas evolve over time. What I worry about, I can tell you what I worry about. I do not want atheism to become like a religion. Some of you may have heard of de Botton in London, who's got this idea of building an atheist temple. Oh man, I want to run away from that idea so fast. The whole point of atheism is to get away from the dogma, to get away from the rituals, to divorce ourselves from these irrelevant cookeries, and just focus on truth. That's all we need, and you do not need a temple for that. So I don't want to see that happen. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But we'll see. People, like you say, people evolve. Sometimes they do these things. But as the parent of 3 children, I have found that raising 3 kids, they all lived here in Salt Lake City even, raising 3 kids, if you teach them secular values, if you don't tell them you have to believe a certain way, they grow up pretty rational and independent-minded. None of my kids have any need for religion. And it's not because I tell them they can't go. I've actually told them the opposite. That, if you fall into a religion, that you don't have to worry, we're not going to disown you, we'll still love you. Because that's what good parents do, right? And they've shown no signs so far. Okay, hands up all over the place. Run faster, run faster.
It's my personal opinion that President Obama, deep down, is an atheist, and anybody with that much education the amount of cognitive dissonance that it would take to deny the science behind theology is too great. My question is, do you think in our lifetime or anytime soon we'll see an openly atheist president?
Well, first of all, I do not think Obama is an atheist. If somebody says they are a Christian, they're a Christian. I'm not going to argue with them. And when you look at Obama's policies, he's been very favorable to faith-based initiatives, for instance. There's no evidence anywhere that he's actually an atheist. So no, I reject that out of hand. Imagine if I were an atheist president. You'd know it. Sure, write me in. Okay. You're in Utah, you're throwing your vote away anyway. But where do you have an atheist president? You know, I'm a child of the 60s and 70s, and I can't believe we have a black president. What I would say is that what I see is change happening so fast. I mean, 10 years ago, I was active in this movement, and I would go, there were a few conferences here and there, I'd go to them. I would talk to a few student groups, they were few and thin and far between. And now what we see is this avalanche of people moving in, and it's young people, it's women, it's minorities, it's all kinds of people. We're seeing real progress here. And so I have pretty high hopes that, yeah, it's changing fast enough. You may have heard Richard Dawkins and the study he commissioned in England a while back. Half the people in England are non-believers. They don't even profess any belief in Christianity. Of the remaining half, it's only like a third that actually ever go to church. The other, it's kind of a nominal Christianity. These are people who say, oh yeah, I'm Church of England, I'm Christian. Oh, Jesus? No, I don't believe in that stuff. That's the way we're going. And I think there's real hope that we will see those changes. In the lifetimes of the younger people here, or hopefully in my lifetime, I'm hanging on there. Yeah, I want to see an atheist president. I think it could happen.
This question isn't too far off. I see the term atheist as a scientific term. I don't believe because of a lack of evidence. But I know from my past and from people around me that the term atheist means you hate God or that you have no morals. It's just a very negative term.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering how you see that changing, if there's something we can do as atheists to change that, or what the evolution of that term will be.
Yes, there's no denying that atheism has pejorative implications. It's used as an insult by many people. But, the thing is, you don't get to choose your nickname, right? If you try and pick your nickname, you sound kind of phony. Nobody goes for that. A nickname is what's given to you. A title is awarded to you. And it's the same with us. There was a movement a while back to rename us to Brights. Somebody's pointing, there are a few people who like the idea and still cling to it, but it never took off, and it was actually mocked by a number of people. What I think we have to do is we have to do like the LGBTs did. And what happened there is that they were slandered and insulted. They were called gays and queers and faggots, all kinds of insulting terms. And what did they do to defeat that? They embraced the phrases. Said, yeah, I'm gay, I'm queer, we're here. There was all kinds of terms like that, and it diffuses the whole problem. And I think that's what we have to do too, is we have to embrace the term atheist. Of course it has these nasty implications because the other people have assigned them to us. And the way we fight them back is we just laughingly take on that term atheist. And we say, in your face, morons, I'm an atheist and I'm proud of it. And we recover it.
You talk about Greta Christina and how she talks about why are atheists so angry and how we're entitled to it.
Yes.
which is a very good point. But I've always found it kind of a point that by telling us we're angry, it's actually a way to strip us of power. If you look at any kind of rights movements, if you look at civil rights and women's suffrage, they were always powered by anger about injustice. And so it's always felt like when people say that, they're trying to strip us of our ability to make change. Do you see that as a deliberate tactic?
Okay, I'm a little... No, it doesn't work. I'm angry about them. And, you know...
So you're sticking with anger?
I'm sticking with anger.
All right.
I actually, my favorite word right now is wrath. I'm it sounds more biblical.
I'd just like to know, well, so there's a scientific community still called the theory of evolution, and if so, why is it not called the law of evolution? Why have they not moved it up?
Right, because theory is a bigger and more important word than law. Laws tend to be trivial and reducible. I know physicists, they're hating this now. But yeah, you know, all those laws of physics, you know, electromagnetism and motion and matter that you learn, those are simple little things, little shorthand things. They're true to a certain degree of truth. But that's one of the things about a law, is you have to be able to state it as a mathematical principle, right? And the theory of evolution is so huge, it does not fit into something so trivial. So we can't call it the law of evolution. There is no one law of evolution. There are multiple processes involved in evolution, multiple dynamic things going on that shape it. We cannot predict the outcome of evolution. It's like weather. There is no law of weather. There's no law of evolution.
We have time for about one more question.
One more question? It better be a doozy.
I was just going to say, we're making a good one. Hopefully it is. So one of the things I see happening in the future is that right now atheists are kind of coming out as critical thinkers and, like you said, have this sort of independent mindset. But I worry that in the future, once it's more culturally acceptable to become atheists, there'll be more of a bandwagon effect. So how can we avoid in the future some sort of groupthink mentality where the brand is almost stripped away from critical thinking, just becomes the norm? And
right.
Have you anticipated any problems like that?
And I think it's already happening. You know, atheism is cool. It really is. It is cool to come out as an atheist. And so we're seeing people who do that. Why are they atheists? It's because, well, you know, Daniel Radcliffe is an atheist. Yeah, that's a reason. Okay. So yeah, it's happening all the time. I'm not worried about it now, though. I'm not really concerned about it because at this point in our evolution, what we want to do is get critical mass, and we want to get people working together to implement social change. And part of that social change, I think, is fixing our educational system. Our schools ought to be teaching critical thinking in kindergarten, and ought to be going on. There may be a few shallow people who are into atheism now. I'll still call them brother and sister. Okay, I'll still give them a hug. Okay, it's okay. But what we want to do is make these changes so that, you know, there will always be shallow people in our society, but we want more people who are open-minded, critical thinkers, who are working for rational scientific change. And that's all I care about right now. And no, I'm not going to resent the fact that, you know, somebody joined atheism because they had a really cool T-shirt. It's okay. I'll live with it for now, but I'll also talk to them. Okay, that was the last question. Good. Okay. So.